G'day guys, Steve with Broken Sprocket. In this video I'm going to do a long-term review on the Suzuki JR80. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Okay, this is a 2016 Suzuki JR80. I purchased this bike brand new for my youngest son Luca about 2 and a little bit years ago, and he's been riding that bike ever since, so about 2.5 years of this bike. We've done everything on it: motocross, enduro riding, out in the paddocks riding, you name it, we've done it, and he's learnt from day one on this bike, so it's the only bike he's actually ridden. So we've been through a fair bit with this bike. So I'd like to go through a few things that I've found that are good and bad on the bike. Okay, on this bike here, I have modified these Yamaha YZ85 levers. I've modified the perch. I've just cut a piece off to make it shorter, and cut the adjuster out and made that shorter too, so it would just sit like this because the adjustments aren't on the perch like on most bikes. And I've put the YZ 85 levers on it, and these are just cheap pivot levers from eBay. The factory levers that were on this bike would snap virtually every single time that Luca would ride the bike, and I was absolutely sick of purchasing new ones all the time. And on the brake side, I've done the exact same thing. Just trimmed that off, put that in there so that there's no adjuster in it. And this here is actually a YZ85 clutch lever and clutch lever setup, but it's upside down so that it would work on drum brakes, because obviously YZ85s have a disc brake. So and you can see here the damages here, there's damages here, the pivot lever ones. Ever since I've done this modification, we have never broke another lever on the bike, so a definite must do would be to do something like this to your JR80. You can see the standard ones here, they're much longer. As soon as he hits the deck, they just snap. I was buying these after every ride, straight back on eBay. We'd come home purchasing brand new levers all the time. I did have some cheap bark busters, that were on eBay as well. They were to say to suit a JR80, but they don't suit a JR80. They were too long, I had to cut them, then try and modify the brackets so that they would fit, and then they ended up snapping anyway. I still have one here of the bracketry and that, but they were absolute rubbish, and he did actually just snap one clean in half, which is why I ended up coming up with the other idea of modifying these. So there's one of the main problems. Second one on the levers, you can see this one here is slightly bent because they don't have the retractable one like on most dirt bikes. I'll just show you a different one. This one's YZ85. You can see how it will retract when they fall, and the JR doesn't have that, so it just stays bent. And also the brake lever, you can see that weld there, that's a weld that I did. He's come off a couple of times and that has also broken, and when I tried to bend it back, it just snapped the weld, so I had to re-weld that. No major problem, but just another thing that's fairly, poor quality on the JR80. As far as reliability goes on the JR80, it's gone every single time, except for one time at the track it decided it wouldn't go anymore partway through a day. After 2 hours of looking about and searching through the bike trying to figure out the problems, I found out it was only this little spark arrestor that was in the exhaust pipe. The spark arrestor sat about here, and it just slid all the way into the baffle right to the end, and no air could escape, so the bike wouldn't run. But it took me about 2 hours to figure out what the problem was, and I just simply removed it, and we've never had a problem with the bike since. So as far as reliability of the JR80 goes, they just keep on going. They are quite reliable like that. Maintenance on the JR80 is quite easy. You just simply clean the air filter, and I've done the oil change in the gearbox and stuff like that, and the bike has never had any issues mechanically or anything like that. It just keeps on going and going and going. So in that, the JR80 is quite easy. You don't have to mix fuel, it's a self-mixer, and that oil in that self-mixing oil container. It seems to last quite some time, so it's quite economical to run. Overall, I found the JR80 is quite a decent motorbike for a learner motorbike rider. Someone it's his first bike or his or her first bike would be perfect for him, but don't be surprised if your child outgrows the JR80, especially if they ride quite regularly or at motocross tracks and things like that. They will grow out of the JR after a fairly short period of time.
Oh, Luca! Oh, Luca! Luca! He kept it!